and it's all the shadows walking next to me. Not a soul for miles around as far as I can see. Stranded in the desert, so far from home. These are the loneliest days that I've ever known. Ooh, I need your loving, babe, like the desert needs the rain. There's lonely feeling deep inside, won't seem to go away, and it's driving me insane. I'm burning up, got a fire in my soul. I'm breaking down and I can't take it anymore. There's loneliness that's tearing my heart, and so I'm sick, I'm tired, I'm lost without you. I thought I didn't love you, baby, but I was wrong. I didn't know how much I did until you were gone. Told me I was crazy, and though it might be true, I'm sane enough to know that I'm still in love with you. Oh, I need your loving, babe, to take these blues away. This lonely feeling deep inside won't seem to go away, and it haunts me night and day, and it's driving me insane. I'm burning up, got a fire in my soul. I'm breaking
I think he just broke another couple.
and I can't take it anymore. There's loneliness.
Yeah, God Messenger's broke another couplet.
Tearing my heart. And so,
That's nice.
Yeah.
I'm sick, I'm sad, I'm lost.
What a surprise. I mean, I swear, he really needs a lesson in train handling, which is sad.
Yeah, Oh, thanks for the host there. Zach Attraction 27? Is that how you say it? I don't know. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Well, my camera's in the wrong spot because I normally sit further back when I'm streaming Run 8 or streaming Elite, and I bought another table. Okay, so like one of the big problems my girlfriend was talking about, like we got a new mattress and everything, so she could finally sit on the bed and like got like more room in my room, right? She's like, oh, you really need a table now, and I went and bought a little folding table. Totally forgot to get it out of my car, and I'm just too lazy to go outside and get it. But it actually would make streaming a lot easier. But yeah, so yeah, back in the day, like years and years ago, and GN kind of hinted at this when he said when he mentioned the Friday night OPSIG. We used to have an organized meetup once a week in Trains multiplayer, where we would all get together, we would load up a session, and we would try and do as prototypical as we could operate op session in Trains. And that kind of worked. We ran into some problems though with the fact that like the Train servers were horribly unreliable. Hosting a session was difficult, and the other problem was like you'd spend 8 hours working a yard, and then because you couldn't save the sessions, next week all of your work would be gone, and it got really boring of constantly doing the same thing over and over again. So it kind of fell off, and the idea was kicked around early on after Run 8 kind of came out of switching over to Run 8 for doing that. And that worked kind of good, kind of okay. But then things kind of, you know, different people went different places and stuff. And I've always wanted to revive it. I've always wanted to have like a big session with lots of people in here and, you know, get a dispatcher on duty and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize this, move this over here, press F2, go to network status, or host. Do that. And I mean, we only have 2 people right now in here. Well, okay, we've actually got 3. It's me, Yardmaster, and Darth Yoda. Darth Yoda's not in.
Oh, did Josh just leave?
Yeah, Josh left. Darth Yoda's not in voice chat yet.
It's on my other monitor.
Oh no, Darth Yoda is in voice chat. He's just not. Well, we're all in the channel, so I'm gonna switch it. I am gonna switch it over to Oligarchy, so everyone's gonna lose their dispatcher authority.
We don't really choose dispatcher now.
I couldn't understand a damn thing you said, Darth.
You're gonna choose the dispatcher now.
Well, I mean, we need more people in here.
Yeah. I wonder if
because I don't have a D2.
your voice is like really messed up on my end. It's like
You do not
sound like a
100%
robot.
don't you dare. Don't say anything. If the voice goes out, you do not need to play back to me how bad it is. You don't need to try and mimic it. I understand that the voice codecs sometimes fail. That was one of the big things I hated about...
Okay.
That's one of the big things I hate about TeamSpeak is people are like, hey, your voice is really bad. It sounds like... And I'm like, I would like reach to my monitor and strangle them. No, one of the things that is it working better now? Let me...
Yeah, it's good now.
Yeah, sometimes it goes in and out. Like, the quality goes in and out.
Welcome to online servers that have thousands of people in voice chat at once.
It's more so an issue on Discord than anything else. I think it's because Discord you're actually going through a server and then to the clients, whereas with, like, TeamSpeak, you were going directly to the clients. Anyways. No, what the guys on Steel Beast do is they actually take a D20 and they roll that, and that's how they pick who's going to be in command of the different teams that night. That's the whole idea. Was like, we'll roll D20s, or roll D20 and then pick from the number. But we've only got 2 people in here at the moment. So.
Yep. I wonder if Big Red will.
Well, I think Big Red's got work tonight.
Probably.
That's why he's never been able to.
This time of night.
I've been trying to convince him to do Steel Beast with me on Friday nights.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, oh, I got work, so I know he's probably out. I know a couple people said they would be in on it. I'm trying to scroll back up through the Discord chat.
Probably be working tonight because I noticed he's normally on like early in the morning. Like he's normally on like early in the morning.
Yeah.
And then he leaves and then he comes back late at night. Attend group.
Yeah, Gian's like, Friday works for me. Bring back Friday Night OPSIG.
He might have not been thinking you're to just do it tonight.
Well, I mentioned doing it
there's
tonight.
Trains.
I mean, if we don't have that many people, I mean, we can.
We'll have fun and.
Oh, I got somebody else to join the session, but we need him in the voice chat. At least be in there, so I would like it if we were all in voice chat, even if you don't have a mic,
Yeah, that way we can at least talk to you.
And it's easier to actually tell who's in here.
Yep. For now, I'm just gonna continue my local I was running the other day.
Like I've got a I have all of my D&D dice here specifically for this. So, like if we get 6 people, I have a D6. If we have 8 people, I have a D8. If we have 3 people, I have a D3. Like, I used to have a D2. And somewhere floating around here, my roommate I know has a D100.
Oh my gosh.
That's not even the biggest I've seen. I've seen a D1000.
Whoa.
That's basically a softball with the dimples like a golf ball, but they're like flat and big enough that when it rolls, it eventually stops on one of them. But when you roll that, it takes 10 minutes for it to stop.
Man.
Of course, I'm not using push to talk, so I might randomly start answering questions on like Twitch or YouTube chat. So if things get weird, you know why.
That's fine. I understand.
Oh, I also ate, like, I started to cook food and then got lazy. Like, I cooked food, started to eat it, and then got lazy. Also, took 4 weeks. 4 weeks to get this part for my motorcycle, right?
Right.
This part is smaller than a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
You serious?
Yes. Like...
My god.
I'm trying to think, have you ever seen about the size of a Zippo lighter?
Yeah, I've seen those.
It's smaller than a Zippo lighter.
My gosh.
I'm trying to think of something that, like, you would have that's... Alright, something you might not have, but if you did, it would be a definite size comparison. Do you have an NMRA N-scale track gauge?
No, I actually don't.
It's the exact same size as an NMRA N-scale track gauge. Like, I'm holding it up on the street, like, 4 weeks.
Oh, gosh.
4 weeks to get this thing.
My gosh, that's crazy. I actually do need an NMRA N-scale track gauge, though, because I'm planning on doing N-scale. I need to get one, though.
I have 3. I have an N-scale
now
one.
Yardmaster wants my help. He always comes to me for everything.
I've got an N-scale one. I've got an HO scale one. And I have an O scale one.
Nice.
And
it's funny how Yardmaster always comes to me for help. I'll be like off the server and I'll be in Discord like, hey, Darth Yoda, can you help me with this? I'm like, I'm not even on the server right now. I'm like, why are you asking me? Are there any trains running today? Why do you think we're here? We're doing an operating session.
Yeah, we're trying to get an op session going, and I don't know. Somehow Yardmaster shoved about a half a dozen cars. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, he shoved a dozen cars over the hump, broke the carport, and he keeps saying, "Oh, the car went down the wrong track." The car went down the correct track. I'm watching the hump controller. I'm like standing right here. It went down the right track. So I don't know why he's saying it's going down the wrong track. Oh, what the hell? How did he do this?
I should probably pull your stream up.
He's got the hump now broken to 3 pieces.
Oh my gosh. This is starting to remind me of the time he completely corrupted his train on Tahoe and broke it.
Yeah. Let's see. We don't have a dispatcher yet, though.
We don't. If nobody else shows up, it will probably only be you or me dispatching, because I don't know if trains can dispatch.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking about it. I was like, I was talking about like, oh, I'm gonna play Steel Beast tomorrow, blah 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 blah, and then Jin says he'll be here shortly.
Okay.
And then
Oh,
and then I was like, you know what? I don't feel like it. And not everyone has A-Line or Selkirk, and I'm actually not a big fan of Selkirk myself. So, or not Selkirk, A-Line. I'm not a big fan of A-Line. I actually like Selkirk. But
right.
so that's why we don't run those ones.
I don't have them yet. I've just not done it because I'm like, well, number one, this is where I've spent almost all of my time in Ren 8 is here, and then number two is I'm like, I just personally like BNSF and UP more. I mean, that's me personally, but that's mostly because I mean I live in the Midwest. I like it would be unless I went up to Kansas City or St. Louis, it'd be very rare for me to see NS or CSX.
Now see, I actually do see CSX and NS in that here, kind of often, and it's.
Well, I mean, you see them as like foreign power.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I see them every once in a while. I actually don't see them as foreign power all the time. I will, like, if I do, the only time I'll really see it on is I'll see like CSX power on like, because I live at like a like on BNSF, like it's like a like it's basically a giant junction of subdivisions. It's like a giant junction of 4 subdivisions in like southeast Missouri, no, southwest Missouri, so it's like the main line that goes like southeast is like the main line that goes to Birmingham, because BSF owns all trackage all the way to Birmingham. So I mean, like if I see like CSX or NS stuff, it's mostly like coming north from there because that's from Alabama, you know.
I like CSX and actually would love to run Selkirk, but I also recognize that not everybody has it. Not everybody knows, like, the BNSF symbols and everything are much easier than the CSX ones.
Oh yeah, they're way simpler because it's like you learn bar and you know like and I mean you know everything coming out of Barstow, you know, whereas it's like the CSX and NS ones are just a symbol and a number.
Oh my god. Why? How is that a hard? Yeah, I can't get to the D border on the to put it back together. Well, relinquish it so I can fix it. No, my thing is, like, I just realized there's one local. I know every industry it serves. I know how to run that local because I've ran it countless times in the trains version of one of the CSX routes. That local no longer runs. Like, it still runs, but but CSX no longer owns that rail line.
They sold it off to some short line or something.
They leased it out to they leased out that whole portion of their main line to Lake State Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
And so now Lake State runs it, but I don't know if they're not gonna use the same train symbol because they're not a CSX rare. They're not CSX.
Right.
But it was
one thing I've always been interested in is like if we did like a short line, if we had a short line in Run 8 that's not like a switching line like LAJ is. Because even though LAJ is like a subsidiary of BNSF, it's still technically a short line. But it's like a switching road, so there's like it has no train symbols. I'm like, that would be interesting to like find. It would be probably difficult to find like short line train symbols or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I wonder if we just have to make them up, but
Now you could find them.
you probably could, and I'm sure Big Red could. He has
Yeah,
all kinds
Big
of
Red probably could.
resources.
I know if we got if we did get Lake State, which is a regional railroad, I know people who work for that railroad. I could be like, "Yo, what are your train symbols?"
Right.
And they'd be like, "Bro, here you go." And I'd be like, "Cool."
Right. And I wonder if the railroad fan wiki, railroad fan wiki. That's what it is. That's what like for like full train symbols for like basically any class 1 they're like they go to. I wonder if they have any short line ones.
I think might.
They probably have a regional one. I don't know about short lines. No, it doesn't really look like it. I'm looking at it real quick. It looks like they mostly have, like for short lines and regionals, they mostly have rosters.
Huh.
Oh, they do for FEC though. FEC they have some train symbols for on there.
Yeah, I feel like FEC though is like its own its own weird thing that they can get away that they do that. Also, I don't like FEC, but that's a different story for a different time.
Fair enough. Crap, I just coupled at 10 miles per hour.
I need to push that.
Whoopsies.
Go you.
See, that's probably the thing I'm worst about. Like, I don't split switches anymore, but I'm bad at like coupling because I'll just start like looking at something else. I just not pay attention, and then before I know it, I couple at like 11 miles per hour, and I'm like, crap.
I see. The problem I have is I'll occasionally oh, this knuckle's busted. I'll occasionally forget which way my train's facing, like when I'm doing switching. And since I basically do everything as if it were remote control, I'll forget. And I'm like, oh, I gotta go forward, clunk, and my train's going the opposite direction that I want to go. I actually lost some locomotives working Yermo a couple weeks ago because I just forgot which way was forward.
I do all my stuff for remote control too, because I see people that are like in the cab the entire time, and it's like, I'm like, I'm like, I understand why you're being more realistic, but I'm like, just so much easier. Just like, doing with remote control, like, it just makes it like easier.
Once this thing comes to a stop, I can actually pull it back over and start shoving it over the hump. Or at least get it where somebody else can take over again. Yeah, if GN pops into voice chat. That would at least give us 3 people that we could use. We could pick from DS. Pick to DS. What's funny is like I come home from work, I sit down, and I'm like, oh, we got a half hour before everything starts. Oh, we got a couple people on, cool. And then like I'm getting everything ready, making sure my camera's in position, loading up my streaming software.
Everybody leaves then.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm like, god damn it. Like I posted it on Reddit, I posted it on other places. Actually, you know what? I need to post this on. It seems like as soon as I click off of Run 8, my FPS is tanking.
That's not good.
It's just getting a little choppy is all. It could actually possibly be a time to reboot Run 8, like to reload it, but we should be fine.
I mean, my frames aren't that great, but I mean, I'm in LA.
Yeah, and you're not rendering 11,000 cars.
Yeah.
Or you're not trying to keep track of 11,000 cars' positions. My computer is trying to keep track of 11,062 cars.
Yeah. Actually, I'm on the west side of LA right now, though, so it's only like loading 700 units because I'm not loading Hobart right now. If I went into like the Hobart area, it would probably load more like probably closer to 2,000 at least.
Ugh. Dear Facebook, if I post a link, please do not give the preview. Like that should be a by default thing.
There's GN. Hey, GN.
It's that guy.
Eps.
Oh, is GN broken and only going to talk in reverse?
Eps.
He's only going to talk in reverse today, guys. So what's going to happen is the stream is being saved on YouTube. In order to understand him, when it's all done, you have to watch the entire YouTube video in reverse.
Yes. And me and you, Kaz, are gonna sound insane.
We'll all be gibberish, but, you know, and all the subliminal Hail Satans that I throw in there. Yeah, Yardmaster, if you want to take back over working the hump, just take it easy. And it doesn't matter if the cars go down any tracks, just shove them over. The hump will take care of everything. I gotta run it. If we can get like cool, like half of my URL just decided it wasn't gonna copy and paste.
That's fun.
Like it copied it, it pasted it, and then Facebook's like, we're gonna delete this. All right. Well, there's 3 crew members here. Do we wanna try and hold out for one more?
I'm not sure. I think this might be as many as we get. I mean, yeah.
As Jim, what I was saying earlier to Darth and Yardmaster, the Steel Beast community, like their Friday night games, they get about 20 people together, and they roll dice to pick who's commander of like each side. And I thought that could be a fun way of picking who's going to be like the dispatchers, because then instead of it always being like the same people or playing, making it feel like we're playing favorites, it's random. And then if whoever's picked is like, I don't feel comfortable dispatching, we just re-roll the dice.
They must become an indentured servant.
Well, I like that this industry in LA, the Renee Bitcoin mining, which is a great name for industry. It's producing cards for like other industries.
Oh shit! Wrong button. Yeah, I don't have control of anything right now. I'm gonna. There's nothing in Bars. Well, there's always work to do in Barstone. It's my yard. I should probably be doing something in this yard.
Yeah, because you're the yard master of it, technically, aren't you?
Yeah. I got a short train I could send out to West Colton. I've got like 3 whole tracks of cars that I can send out. Yeah, 3 whole tracks of cars I can send out down Seligman, so that's what I'll start doing. I got some power sitting here. Which power do I want to? If I grab that, I'm gonna have to. That'll be fun. I have to grab that, turn that around. To make things work. And for the time being, I'm gonna, until we actually get somebody on here until we get a couple more people in here, I'm gonna just turn dispatch back on for everybody.
Sounds good.
Alright, yeah, grab this one, set his lead unit. Oh, no, that one.
Oh, I was going to shove into industrial track and almost forgot to throw my switch.
Go you. No. There's no need to turn it around. So what I'm gonna do is move these locomotives over. This single locomotive over. And grab those SD40s and tie them onto the end. And get this train ready to go out of Barstow down Seligman sub.
So how much longer are we gonna wait for to see if another person gets on?
I'm just gonna. Well, I normally stream till 10 o'clock on Friday nights, so until 10 o'clock, I guess. You know. There's people on YouTube having a decent Friday. So
assigned dispatcher.
What'd you say, Darth? I couldn't hear you over myself.
Oh, well, no. Like whenever we get the dispatcher, we gotta wait like 20 more minutes to see if somebody else.
Just whenever we hit a sufficient number of people, if it just stays with us four, then we won't worry about it this week, and then I'll better plan for next week.
Okay, sounds good.
The e-bell isn't on everything though. I mean, I got somebody asking questions on or saying stuff on Discord, or not on Discord, on YouTube chat, because I'm too lazy to. Actually, I can do this. Hold on. Testing. There we go. Turn push to talk back on. Having a decent price. I had to go into work early for a meeting. So what's nice is I got out of work an hour early, so that's a plus. And that, I mean, it's technically not my Friday, it's my Tuesday. But yeah. Yeah, e-bell isn't on everything. We're trying to organize like a Friday night, like get a bunch of people on and run trains type session deal, and like have like a dedicated dispatcher and all that stuff. Well, that was rough. And I mean, it was a last minute decision. But we're doing that, and we got 4 people on here. We got the Yardmaster working. He was working the hump yard. I don't know if he is now. He's been having some troubles with it. And I'm down here right now in Barstow. I'm gonna get some power on a train and send a train down Seligman. We're just gonna get some trains moving out of Barstow. But there's a link to our Discord. I need to throw that switch as well, don't I? Yes. And here we go. Taking some power forward.
Okay. I'm done switching on at 4th Street Yard, and I'm heading back to Weeds now.
I'm going a little too fast. Forget this part of Barstow is actually downhill right here. Get the speed back down to 15. Just using 14 pounds of independent brake, got the train down to 15 miles an hour. And it's actually just 4 locomotives, so, but still. And there are other players, they're out there. Let's see, we got me here. Artheota is working weeds, and trains is just kind of watching. Yardmaster's working that, and GN's working a local. Going over speed again. I don't always post it on like the train sim Reddit, but I do because I stream a lot of stuff all the time. So I have a new stream schedule which I'm actually really happy with. It's Thursdays and Friday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday, which I think really works really well for me. And it's always after 7 p.m. and then Tuesday, Wednesday, if I've got nothing else going on and I feel like streaming, I can also stream on those days. But I've just been busy the last couple of weeks, so it's like, oh, I don't have time to stream because I'm busy with real life bullshit. Just keeping tabs on our speed. And really, what it is, I'm watching my speedometer on the screen, right? I'm watching my speedometer right here. Does this capture the mouse pointer? It doesn't. What I need to do is go into editor. There we go. Now it should capture my mouse cursor. There we go. Just watching my speed up here. And then I've also, my rail driver actually has a speed readout on it as well. I'm watching that. And even though I've got my HUD up across the top up here, I'm really only paying attention to brake pipe. Actually, it's brake pipe, equalizer, brake pipe, brake cylinder, and my throttle setting. But I only pay attention to the throttle setting when I'm actually not in the cab of the locomotive. And that's only for when I'm doing switching, like when I'm standing here, I can tell what my locomotive is still doing, even though I'm not in the cab where I can actually see the controls. Since the rail driver isn't indexed, you know, like, oh, there's notch 1, there's notch 2. I have no idea where those are on the rail driver. Now I need to line myself up. Bell. So I need to throw this switch right here needs to be thrown. And there it goes. Hop back on at least here. Climb up the steps. And we'll do full reverse. There's notch 1. It's gotten suddenly very quiet.
Yep, I guess we're all doing stuff.
I think it sounds more like we're doing mischievous things.
Apparently, so I set push to talk. Apparently my push to talk button is also the bell button.
Oh.
I can fix that. Because I have a rail driver, I don't need a keyboard button for that functionality. Anyways, if you're tuning in on Twitch or YouTube, do pay attention to chats if you've got questions, comments, concerns. Appears that some things have gone wonky. There we go. No, it's not. No, it may be okay. 1.7% drop frames. Oh no. Alright, it's gonna be bar KCK. Is this full track? Yeah. Oh well, almost. What I'm gonna do next is I want to take all these GUP cars and just tag it on that train, 'cause I think they're all going the same way. These cars though are on the wrong track. Well, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, they're on the wrong one. They need to be over here.
That was strange.
Yeah, like I was still connected to TeamSpeak or to Discord, but just everything stopped working. I don't know why either.
Yeah, that was strange. The server's up because I just like kicked me out and I was just like, oh, and like your voice was acting all weird like it was a little bit ago, and then so I like went into the server. I went into the FT and I was like, oh, server's still up. Just joined again.
I think it's my voice activation detecting is acting up.
Let's see. I was watching the I was watching my voice, like it says where it says voice connected on Discord, like that went to red. And I'm like, oh. And then my streams just stopped,
Right.
and then Streamlabs was like, you've been disconnected. I'm like, what the fuck?
Okay, I see Kaz's light
Nice.
go on for Discord, but I don't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
I
Really?
can hear you.
Can you hear me now? I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you, yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I think I could hear you the entire time. I think it was just jam.
There, I think everything's mostly back to working. All right, where did it leave off? Oh yeah, I was gonna come down here and grab some power. That was weird. It just like everything just stopped working. We need to grab some power for the rear end of this train, and I'm just gonna grab. I don't want that Jeep. I've got 3 on the front. We'll put 2 on the rear. We got some CSX power just sitting here, not doing anything useful. before we take it too far, I'm gonna walk the tracks, make sure all of our switches are lined up correctly.
Maybe I can hear Kaz now.
I don't know, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, for whatever reason, like, my internet just decided, yeah, I'm not gonna work anymore.
Oh, Yoda was saying he was hearing you, but I couldn't. I saw your light come on in Discord.
Yeah.
Never heard a thing other than the first time you said, "Can you hear me?" and it was real faint.
And then I put my mic up my ass, and you still couldn't hear me.
Probably why I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, that would make, putting my mic up my ass probably wasn't the best decision of the night.
Probably not.
Probably gonna get this video taken off of YouTube since I did that in front of my camera. Just bent over, spread cheeks, and
I get the video taken down, but I guess as long as it was good for you.
Alright, we should be...
Some people enjoy that, I guess. I don't know. To each their own.
My gosh, West Colton's busy.
When is it not busy?
It wasn't busy there for like 2 weeks, and then everybody was like, turn up the spawn rates for UP, and now like we can barely keep up with West Colton trade again.
Well, it sounds like somebody needs to stop buying really expensive things and buy a new computer and a second copy of Run 8 so I can host the server 24/7. But, you know, sometimes you just need to buy a new car. And so that's what I did.
Hey, I mean, that's fair. I mean, new cars are probably more important than your Run 8 server.
Yeah,
It depends on the situation.
Yeah, well, my car was okay, but it was starting to run like shit, and I just didn't want to have to deal with it anymore.
Fair enough.
And, like, whenever I go to events, like, in 2 weeks I'm going to another event, so the server will be up for, like, 3 days straight. But I won't be available because I'll be in California. But when I go to these events, like, I don't have enough room in my car for all of my gear. So I got a bigger car to put all my gear in.
Nice.
My girlfriend just sent me a text with a picture of her hand, like, holding a bunch of bouncy balls, and she's like, I'm an adult that just got bouncy balls from a quarter machine. And I just respond with, nice! Yeah, now my drop frames are, like, all my stuff is like, oh, everything's fine now. So just, this must have been a hiccup with the internet.
Must have been.
It happens, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, where the internet just was completely out because my ISP was having an outage for the area?
Oh yes, I remember you saying that.
Oh, that was frustrating, because I was like, I'm going to play games tonight. No internet.
Well, you ain't.
I wasn't on the server that night, but I remember you saying.
Yeah, because you guys all messaged me, oh, did the server just crash? I'm like, no. Cox is having an outage. I have no internet right now. I'll let you guys know when it's back up. And then the really dumb thing, you know what, this is what I hate about, like, Steam games, is if Steam isn't online, half my games don't work.
Yeah, that is pretty annoying.
I was like, you know what, I was going to play Run 8, but, you know what, I will give Train Sim World a shot. Couldn't get it to load up because I was offline.
Yep. I uninstalled like Train Sim World like 2 weeks ago because like I hadn't played it since like, the day I got it. I was like, in this video is a gigantic game too, like outside wise. I'm like, why do I still have this here? So I just uninstalled it the other day.
Because I paid money for it, and uninstalling it isn't going to get me my money back, so I at least want to play it and get $34 worth of enjoyment out of it, which I have not been able to do. I really want them to add multiplayer to Train Sim World so that way I can start locking people in boxcars and auto racks. Well, I found out you can open up the doors in the boxcars, right? And you can climb into them. If another player were to just come along and close and lock the door, what's to prevent that player from doing that?
Interesting.
It's like, hey, this boxcar's got a really cool Easter egg. If you hop into it, there's a button you push and, like, it plays this really cool Easter egg. What? They get in, close the doors, send it, and just run the train off route. And then they have to walk, because that game doesn't have a fly camera. That game doesn't have teleport or a fly camera. They have to walk all the way back.
That's probably the most annoying thing about that game to me is like if an open world game like or something of that, like a simulator, doesn't have at least a fly camera, it's like why does this even exist? Like, seriously.
If it doesn't have a way to quickly move about the in-game world, that is a problem to me. Like, you get that even with regular Railworks. Like, I had this really cool idea, and this was like 2-3 years ago. I was like, I'm gonna really get into Railworks. I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna try and enjoy it. And I had this idea. I wrote up, switch lists and everything for working Donner Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I did all my switching at Sparks. I said, all right, well, I need to go to the other side of the railroad now and do switching. The free camera, I was like, oh, well, there's no way to teleport over there. Well, I'll just free camera all the way there, and I can at least see the rest of the railroad. I could only go so many meters away from my train that I had last clicked on before I hit an invisible wall.
Right.
And like, that pisses me off, because now I can't, like, all this work I put into making my switch list is for nothing.
Yeah, but I mean that's probably one of the biggest problems with Railworks, because I mean they were like, oh, but it has good graphics. It's like, well, yeah, it does, but I mean graphics. What I always say, I'm like, graphics aren't everything. Like, graphics do not make or break a game for me. I'm like, if it's a good game, I will play it even if it has like not great graphics. I'm like, graphics like isn't the most important thing about the game.
The game needs to play well.
Yeah, it needs to play well over graphics. I mean, if it's like 8-bit or something, I mean, that's a whole nother story. But I mean, if we're talking just like not amazing graphics, it's like, what's the big deal if it plays well?
I was having this conversation on another Discord yesterday, or not yesterday, last week. Someone's like, "Oh, Train Sim World's the best because it looks so good," and blah blah. I'm like, "But can you do this? Can I do multiplayer? Why would you ever want to do multiplayer? But can you? No. Okay, well, Run 8 does it. Well, Run 8 looks like shit. Yeah, it doesn't look as good, but it works better. Well, you only have one route. How many routes? No, you don't. You have all the West Coast routes. You have 2 East Coast routes. So right there's like 6 routes. How many routes are for Train Sim World? 3, 4?
I think they just released one, so I think it's 4 now. But I mean, still, it's like, yeah, really, it's like, to be fair, they are releasing at a higher rate than Run 8 is. But I mean, still, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's plenty to do in Run 8 for the size of the railroad, plus the fact that it's 1-to-1. I mean, there's way more to do in Run 8 than there is in
that was the big argument that we were having was, there's nothing to do, and you can't. There's no prototype. There's like no industries, nothing like that in Train Sim World. It's just drive a train from point A to point B. Well, you can do services mode. That's the same thing. You're just driving a train from point A to point B. The only difference is you can hop on the train, any train you want, which if you're going to do that, just run a regular scenario. Because that's all services mode is just all the scenarios playing constantly with an AI driver taking over for them. And it's scripted AI, so it's going to be the same experience every single time. Whereas even here in Run 8, while the AI is still, it's AI driving the train forward, every experience you have is going to be dynamic and unique because you're going to run into other players. You're going to see different variations of trains. You might run the same manifest between Barstow and Bakersfield 100 times, and every time it will be different because the cars in your train are going to be different, the traffic you pass is going to be different, and the players you interact with will be different. Which is exactly what you would...
I don't personally do mainline trains. I do a lot of locals and yard work, but it's like almost every time, even just pushing a train over the hump, like almost every time I push a train over the hump, I mean, even though it's probably, to be fair, probably one of the least boring yard activities you can do. I mean, it's fun to watch the cars go down there, but I mean, you're not actually doing anything other than really watching your speed and making sure that the cars are going down the right track. I mean, other than that, you're not really doing much whenever you're humping a train compared to like flat switching or whatever. But I mean, even then, I mean, every time you do it, it's different. Yeah, and that makes it interesting.
And that's part of what I was saying too, is like every experience you have in Run 8 is going to be unique and
super useful. I only found out about it like within the last few weeks, because before whenever I was like looking at the external dispatcher guide, I'm like, normal paths, like whenever I was like, I basically only looked to the guide whenever I first got Run 8 and was looking at doing the external dispatcher. I'm like, I'm just gonna stick with normal paths for now. I won't try doing like the stored stuff until later. And then it was only like just recently that I was like, oh yeah, isn't there those like stored paths? I should probably figure out how to do those. Then I looked at the manual for it and I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'll sometimes... It bugged me the other day is I set up all these stored paths, and I put in the Discord, I said, hey guys, I've got all these paths stored, I've got everything set up for this one person running their train. And somewhere in the 15 minutes between when I posted that on Discord and it took me to get to work, somebody screwed it all up. And I was like, well, this is why we can't have nice things, I guess. I don't know. I had set it all up. I think Yardmaster was running a manifest, and I got it all set up because there was some traffic, bouncing around him. So I was like, well, he's running. No one else is on. I have to leave for work. Got it all set up. Got it all good to go. And then 50 minutes later, somebody did something, and the paths got all messed up.
I've never used external dispatcher.
I use it all the time.
It's pretty great.
I will put, even though I'm not active on the server all the time, I have just external dispatcher up 90% of the time that the server's running. So I'm just always watching when I see all the conversations and stuff. That's why sometimes I'll just chime into a conversation in game, because I'm just using external dispatcher.
Yeah, it's really useful. I'm looking forward to TSCAT if that ever comes out.
That'll be a lot of fun because that's going to be more like what we actually use, or not what the railroads actually use. But I made the suggestion back when external dispatcher first came out of doing an old school CTC board with the big toggle switches, but the clickable ones you see in JMRI for model railroading. Something like that, I thought would be really cool.
That would be awesome. That would be really cool, especially for since multiple of the routes are modeled in the 90s. That would be really cool.
Then the really dumb idea would be to actually physically build a CTC board like that interfaces with Run 8. So you actually would have a physical toggle switch you could flip, and it would interface through JMRI into your computer, into external dispatcher, into Run 8. It'd be way overly complicated, but I think it would be freaking awesome to do.
it would be awesome, but that would be like way more than you would ever need.
That would be going at, like extra. That would be too many extra. But if you did that and if you had that kind of money to build that, you probably have that kind of money to have a big model train layout. So like if you did like, oh, I model the Cajon sub, so I'm gonna build this panel, and I'm gonna model the Cajon sub and model and a model train table, but I'm gonna have a toggle switch here where I could flip it over between this panel controls my model railroad, or flip the toggle switch, this panel controls the Cajon sub dispatch board in Run 8. Which again would be going 2 steps too extra for that, but you would still. I'm having all kinds of problems with the stream just staying up tonight. My internet's all wonky. And now my internet seems to have evened out. So yeah, there's that. YouTube still appears to be kind of fuzzy. Quality. Oh, because the quality is set to nil. Yeah, there we go. If you got questions, I do watch both Twitch chat and YouTube chat. So if you got questions, you want to ask them, I can answer them there. Back in the day, I explained this a little while ago, but back in the day we used to do Friday night op sessions in trains, and then we switched over to doing it in Run 8. And that kind of fell apart when our little community kind of went its separate way, and we've been kind of talking about doing it, and this is one of the trial nights of just trying to get some people and generate the hype for it. Next week, we'll come into this more organized and probably actually have some people in. There are no error reports for the hump. The hump is working as intended. But yeah, trying to generate some more hype and get more people in. And the idea is, for every 7, 8, 9 people we have, we'll have a dispatcher. So that way, just because as the railroad is so massive here, like we've got, I can close that out. And we've got just Mojave Yard, and then we've got, this is L.A. This is all of L.A. One person could just be dispatching all of this all day. And then you've got the Bakersfield sub. We could have one dispatcher doing this, and one dispatcher doing this, and then dispatcher doing this. Josh, I'm building a train for Seligman if you really wanted to do something mindlessly boring. Check the tags. It might be an assigned power unit. But yeah, the whole idea is, as the more people we have, the more dispatchers we'd probably require, just because there's more freight moving. Right now, I'm moving this train right here. I'm just doubling up this cut of cars to get a train to go down Seligman sub. It's going to be a heavy-ass train. The Conrail unit, I think, is sitting in the shop tracks. Of course, I'm just seeing the fly cam. It's going to look at it redacted. Yeah. Almost got this pulled back. This is Barstow Yard in Run 8. If you guys got like, like I said, like I always say, I do pay attention to both YouTube and Twitch chats. Let me get that right. I do pay attention to Twitch chat, which is on this monitor over here, and YouTube chat, which is on this monitor over here, while also paying attention to my in-game chat, which is on the monitor in front of me, which is also the monitor the game is on. But yeah, I pay attention to all those chats. So if you got questions, anything like that, I can answer them. If you want to know more about Run 8, which is a fantastic train sim, I am in a Discord voice chat with several other people, but we're if that says it's it looks like that's JC's power that you got there.
Looks like. a second I thought it was JC in the server. I'm like, I never saw JC join. I'm like, why would he join? They just kept the Minecraft server back up and running. I'm like, oh, wait a second.
I have had that problem before where the little plastic ring around the horn button on the rail driver, it broke, and then the horn button fell off. My solution was, I put the horn back on, I took that little plastic ring, I put just a touch of super glue on the sides of it so it would, when I pressed it in, it would stay in that metal body. And it's just enough super glue that it hasn't popped out since then. But just enough, but so little that if I want to pop it loose, it'll just pop right out. Alright.
Oh, look. Hi, Kaharion, or however you say your name.
It's Corey.
I'm an angry man.
Yeah, screw you, GM.
Don't threaten him with a good time.
No, that would have been telling him to go screw it.
I'm complimenting on you on your abilities to fuck, and you're telling me no, okay.
I'm just saying that's what he would enjoy.
Alright, I'm actually, like, my avatar's now hanging on the side of this hopper car. Oop.
So what kind of mayhem do we got going?
Well, we didn't have enough people pop on tonight. It was kind of short notice of doing this. So we don't have a dedicated dispatcher yet. I mean, if we wanted to, I could roll the dice and pick somebody.
Dota said he's hopping on, like...
Yeah, I saw that. He says, like, I'll be on in 30 minutes, like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, so he should be on here soon. Hopefully.
And Josh and Corey, I think you guys missed that part of the conversation where I was talking about how there's another group that does the Steel Beasts, and they pick their leadership for each Friday night battle by just rolling. They actually have, like, some dice, and you hear the guy roll it across his desk. So I figured, you know, to avoid, you know, playing favorites or always having the same dispatcher or whatever, we would just roll dice, and that's how we would pick the dispatcher. And if the person wasn't comfortable with doing it, we'd be like, all right, well, roll the dice again. So for these Friday night sessions, if this does pick up and we start doing this more often, we'll always have different people dispatching.
Interesting idea.
Josh, if we got nothing else to do, I do have some, I think there's some UP power sitting here in Barstow, and a short train that you could run to West Colton. Right now I'm riding on this this hopper car right here. If you don't have any super glue, you might be a little bit up Poop Creek. You got chewed bubble gum, that usually works too. Yeah, there's always the keyboard button as well. But I've got some, I think I got some UP power sitting here in Barstow, like I said, and I might have, I think it's only 30 cars for West Colton. I haven't really looked. I'm getting a train ready to go off route through Seligman, so. Train deleted.
don't know if you want to send that West Colton train out because we have 2 that are nearly ready to come into West Colton, and there's only 2 West Colton receiving tracks open.
Well, I don't even know how many cars there's. I just know there's some cars sitting here. It might not be enough to actually run.
Right. I'm just letting you know that receiving is going to be full after these 2 trains come in, and if I remember seeing it correctly, there's already another train on the main somewhere else, I think.
Joy.
And we can temporarily store an incoming train on 201, but I mean, we'd have to get stuff done pretty.
I mean, you can always we can always run it up the Palmdale cutoff and then store it somewhere on one of those sidings if there's nothing else up there. I'm coming in hot. Slow down. 7 mile an hour.
No, it's coming from Alhambra, going that direction. And unless you wanted to store it on, I mean, you could put it on like a.
Like I said, it's not enough cars to run right now, so we're not going to worry about it.
Yep. And I mean,
worrying about things that aren't you need to worry about.
I'm probably not gonna do anything else. I'm probably gonna get off for the night. But I mean, if I do have time, I will push a train over the hump in West Colton. But I mean, that's a big if because I'm probably gonna be finishing this local up, and I woke up very early this morning, so I'm probably gonna go to bed after this.
Let's check the stats on this train before we send it out. I gotta wait for external dispatcher to catch up to me here. Actually, no, can I do this? $1.4? Yeah. So every one of these cars has either come off of an industry somewhere on the railroad, or come off of another train, been through the hump at least one time, maybe twice, depending on which yard they came from, and is now built onto a train that is going off route. This is just like in the real world. I mean, this hopper car right here probably came in on a UP train, went into West Colton, went over their hump, came over here, went over the hump, got put on a train going out, and, this gondola right here probably was on, actually, the one that's most likely that we're on locals. Were all these tank cars up here. These tank cars probably came into Barstow. Went too far. These tank cars probably came into Barstow, ran over the hump, sent to Bakersfield, sent to an industry, picked up from the industry, sent back to Bakersfield, then sent back to here, re-humped, put onto this train, and sent off. They've been through the hump at least twice, maybe 3 times if they came through, or no, maybe 4 times if they came through on a UP train, because what would have happened is it would have gone on the UP train, or they would have come in on the UP train, gone over the UP hump yard, come to Barstow, gone over the Barstow hump yard, gone to Bakersfield, gone to the industry, gone back to Bakersfield, come back to Barstow, gone back over the hump, so 3 times over the hump, and now they're heading out. Yeah. West Colton, Barstow, Bakersfield, Barstow, out. Yeah, 3 times. That's a common problem, and that's kind of why we put that rule in where you can only change it so often, because people were changing their assigned power, their personal power, constantly.
Well, have we made that an official rule yet?
I mean, didn't you say it to Josh the last time he asked to have his power changed? Like, you gotta wait a month or whatever?
I told it to somebody, but it's not like a written rule. But I mean, yes, we probably do need to write it down. But I believe I did say it to someone. It was probably either Yardmaster or Josh, one of the two. Okay, there you go.
I want to get some more power. Because after this train leaves, I want to send out... It's going to be a shorter train, but I want to send out this right here. That's actually going to be... That would be a short train, so I don't need too much power on it. Problem is, I don't want to put this Jeep 40 on there. So, you know what I can do is I can... We'll move this Jeep 40 over one track. Why aren't you rolling? I had a couple of these cars. There we go. I'm gonna move things over one track, and then I'm gonna grab this SD70 and use that for this outbound train. I want to keep the Jeep 40s, you know, in Barstow and everything, just to keep them around here. And of course, like always, I do pay attention to both Twitch and YouTube chats. If you got questions, comments, anything you want to, anything in particular you want to see about Run 8, I'm more than happy to show it off to the best of my abilities. Best of the abilities of the night. Only thing that's kind of hard to show though is, you know, I'm not using my keyboard because I do have a rail driver, which is what I use to do all my switching and controlling of my trains with. Full application of the brake, 3-point setting, bell off, lights off. Can normalize that switch. Then we can come back down here. Right now we're just moving some power on the road in Barstow, down here in Barstow, getting some trains in and out. I'm about to build probably an overpowered train, but whatever. There's Delta.
Oh, hi, Delta.
Oh no, my frames. Everything just took a shit again. Everything just keeps crapping out at random times, like stream-wise at least. And this is the first time I've ever had this many problems with my live stream. Oh, okay, no, there's that other time where, like, Streamlabs just decided, I'm not gonna run anymore. Oh well, it happens, you know. Sometimes you get these weird, you get these days where things just don't work right. And now I gotta figure out
Hi,
why
Delta.
this AI train isn't leaving the yard. Oh, because somebody grabbed a hold of that switch and lined it and stopped the train. There it goes. I'm kind of waiting for it to pull out of here and be out of my way. Waiting for one train to pull out of my way so I can take this switch. And this one here. Too far away or no empty seats. That's a lie. Shouldn't be an empty seat. Should be empty seats in this thing. Nothing but empty seats. And I can normalize this switch. I'm that one right there with the blinking EOT. I'm chasing that one through the yard at the moment. Gonna get on to South Departure 5. Got a little bit too much speed here, so I'm just gonna apply a little bit of independent brake. Slow everything down. There we go. I can turn my flashlight off, I guess. I don't need the flashlight on. Can't turn any of the cab lights on because this is actually the trailing unit. This isn't the lead unit, not this consist, but that's okay. That's realistic, too. I mean, realistically, you could turn the cab lights on, but the game doesn't let you do it. Yeah, I've got this bowl of food sitting right here. I'm just like, oh man, I keep forgetting food. I'm hungry. some of the people are posting in the Discord that West Colton is starting to get backed up a bit. And so they're storing trains for West Colton in different areas. We don't have anything coming in for Barstow right now.
Right.
I'll go through in a little bit, and I'll turn down the mixed freight spawn rates for all the UP trains since West Colton's getting backed up again.
Yep.
Yes,
Oh.
that is a CSX power right over there. We had for April Fool's Day. I set it so that way all the trains were spawning either UP or not UP, NS or CSX power for everything. And as a result, like there's a bunch of NS power sitting in West Colton and a bunch of CSX power sitting in Barstow, and it's just slowly getting cycled out.
I mean, there's nobody working in West Colton right now. If you would want to go work West Colton, you'd be the only.
You don't have to finish Barstow. You can always just finish that track and then head over to West Colton and leave the other ones for later.
Yeah, if you only have 3, West Colton's probably needing it more right now than Barstow.
Tie onto this, and then we'll check the train stats. .1 HPT. It's not too bad.
There we go. Did anyone see any pick up a BNSF Jabo Tricor in the past?
I have no clue why.
Because I think I left my sign power there and it must have gotten picked up, but it's what.
I was gonna normalize some switches. Why can't I get into fly mode? There we go. Like 4 times I clicked it and it wouldn't go. Hit the button, it wouldn't go. I might have actually been missing the button altogether. it's been known to happen. I'm like, oh, I pushed the wrong button.
Yeah, it would have been BNSF 7676.
We got some cars here for needles, but no one's worked needles in a while, so I'm not going to worry about it. What I am going to do, though, is... Oh, that's the wrong one. AI traffic generation. So this is going to be like the extra boring part of a train sim live stream. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through... That one we don't do. Mixed freight... That one's fine. What I gotta do is I gotta just make some slight adjustments to the AI spawn rates. Apparently we're getting too many mixed freight. Oh, nothing comes from Yuma. For West Colton, so we're gonna just, whoops, wrong button. Mixed freight. We're gonna lower the mixed freight spawn rates for West Colton, and the idea being that this will help alleviate some of the excessive traffic flows. You can see how high I had those sliders set for them. And this just means that these trains will be less likely to spawn, and they'll get less traffic. Let's see, that's West Taylor, Yermo, Saco. Yuma doesn't get any. And one I want to say is the Alhambra corridor, Alameda corridor. Mixed freight, but it's only Barstow-bound trains, so yeah. Oh, I need a Taylor yard. Taylor. Oh yeah, I got that one. Yeah, that'll just help alleviate some of the pressure that West Colton's
Where are you
doing.
doing with that light power, Josh, that you have on the Palm Con? Right now,
And
your
now
train
that that's
symbol
taken.
gives me no indication of where you're going with it. It's just Josh.
He's at Mojave Yard right now.
I know, but I can't tell from the dispatch train if he's working in Mojave Yard or if he's taking his assigned power somewhere.
I checked 5 minutes ago. He was in not doing a thing. Other than that, I got no.
You could just be AFK for a few minutes. I did.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I just went through and I turned down the mixed freight spawn rates for all the UP trains, so that should help slow things down in West Colton for a bit.
Oh, Kaz, I meant to mention something to you. I just discovered this the other day. It's helpful to you.
Is it a quick way to be super ultra rich?
I'm gonna lie and say yeah.
So all right, hold on, Josh. You're running at light power to West Colton, so it would be what DMJWC.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, it's UP, so it'd be E. It'd be EMJWC. UP symbols are all 2 letters, and all the symbols are the first 3 letters, or like an acronym of the yard. So West Colton is WC, Mojave is MJ, it's MOJ. If we're gonna do alphabetic alphabet, it would be Echo, Mike, Juliet, Whiskey, Charlie.
Yeah, really, that's not
Yeah.
right at all. If you're using your
No.
Well, there's some alphabetic alphabets that do use that. That do use
Yeah.
like Christmas.
There is. I can't remember which one it is that does that. I'm trying to remember now. It's gonna.
I know like older ones, and I only know this from playing Battlefield 1. It's like Apple, Baker, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for an alpha-phonetic military sign where J is just Jimbo or something.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you were saying Delta?
Yeah. So basically, I found this out. This is helpful, like especially if you were if someone sent you like an assigned power consist, so you didn't have to shut down the server. I found out if someone sends you an XML and they send you the info file, and the file path in the info file is the exact same as where your V2 is installed, you can just drop those XMLs in, go to your consist, go to the F1 spawn menu, and spawn it in, and you don't have to shut down the server at all.
Well, see, we don't shut the server down for spawning in the assigned power. If you want assigned power, what we do is you either say, I want these locomotives, and we drop them in at one of the spawn points, or if you want like specific locomotive numbers, all I'll do is I'll drop them in, save the world, go in, edit the XML file, and then reload it. That's the only time I have to shut the server down, is if I want to edit the XML files.
Yeah, what I'm saying is this way, if you could actually create a train, say, and you could literally, if someone wanted specific locomotive numbers, you could drop the train in, save it as a consist, edit it in Notepad, and save it, and then just respawn it on the server, and it would just spawn with the right numbers. You wouldn't have had to have done a thing. I found that out when I was trying to fix, basically some dumbass deleted the staff trains on my server, so I was like, alright, how do we edit the numbers without doing stuff? Also, this will make you laugh. So you know fly switching.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me today they showed it off in a messenger group I'm part of, and they said that someone that they knew, it's a friend that's staff on Highball, said that that's a bannable offense. What?
I mean, it is.
Fly switching?
Yeah, fly switching is technically not something you're supposed to do like in the real world.
Right, but
Or is that dropping cars?
basically it's like reverse.
It's
like
instead of
reverse
kicking a
piggy.
car, you drive, uncoupled car, accelerate, pass the switch
Yeah,
you
that's
want to.
dropping.
Yeah, well, some people some people call it fly switching as well. Isn't it
Yeah,
like?
basically you pass the switch, throw it, and then let the car coast into its industry with the.
Yeah, it's for facing point switches.
Yeah. It is illegal, but in a sim, I don't know.
I mean, I got no problem if you want to do it here as long as you don't break everything.
No, I just found out, like, really, that's a bannable offense, but screwing with people's trains isn't? What?
Well, I mean, somebody somewhere is got a thing for somebody else, and that's why that person's not getting banned from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew of one short line that did fly switching, but that's because that was their only way of serving one of their industries.
Oh, shit.
Because they didn't have a runaround track. So what they would do is they would drive down into there, grab the cars they needed to pull them out, shove them down out of the way, grab the car they needed to spot, and it was one SW9 or 1200. It was one of those two, and like one wood chip or not one one center beam car they had to spot. And that's what they would do is they would just go really fast. They had like 4 people involved in this. They had the engineer, they had a guy holding the switch, and then had a guy riding the car, ready to hit the handbrake and pull the cut lever at the same time.
Shit.
They'd get
I
up
feel
to
like
about.
I've seen
Crap.
video of this exact railroad you're talking.
I know there's one video somewhere. I'll look it up sometime.
Someone
I
shared
don't-
it with your Facebook once.
I don't think they did it in that video because they didn't want I think they changed up how they operated at that time. Because the funny thing is they had 2 locomotives, right? And they only served 2 industries for this entire railroad. One industry got 1 car and the other one got like 6. But they interchanged with CSX, but the only way they could get down to the interchange was they had to put 1 locomotive on the front of their train and the other locomotive on the back, drive down, stick the 1 locomotive on the old diamond, shove their cars out onto the CSX main, then grab the cars that CSX was dropping off, pull their other locomotive off the diamond, and keep going.
Wow.
Sounds like a gigantic mess.
The best part was both locomotives were freight locomotives, but one of them they used in a dinner train.
Great. Oh, I just remembered. I have a horn if you want it. I think you might like. You've probably heard it in media before and never known what the hell. What is it? It's West Rail 642's horn from Atomic.
Now I'm going on a weird rabbit hole and trying to find this video of this railroad. I found some, but like because this railroad goes under like 6 different names, it's hard to find.
Why in the world do they go under 6 different names?
Well, because for a while it was the Michigan Airline, then it was Co-Rail, then it was Mail, then it went back to Co-Rail, and at one point it was Grand Trunk.
Gee, it's wow. And here I thought Seaview was in. We had something like that happen on the freight railroad I was training out last semester. We had Seaview in Rhode Island. They forgot to renew their reporting marks, which were SVTX. So Savannah Transportation took theirs, so they wound up not having any reporting marks for them. So that everyone was like, well, technically we're Seaview, but we have to call ourselves Grafton and Upton. And like, well, why that? Because we don't have any other way to report things to other railroads.
I found that video, but I want to watch it before I send it to you guys because I think I know I know a couple of the people, and I know they're like really terrible people.
Oh.
Yeah, I've had some interesting interactions with one of these guys, and it's like, well,
not a rain of sunshine.
And not a person you want to interact with.
Oh.
You've played trains, right?
Yeah.
You know how the CSX Saginaw subdivision was included in like Trains 12?
Was it in 12? I don't know. It might have been in 12, I think.
It was in 12. I know for a fact. Well, maybe it was in 9?
It was either, I think it was 9 or 10.
It was in one of them. It was included in one of them. Anyways, I met the guy who made that route, and I made a joke. I made a joke to him. I said, something about, you messed up the route a lot because there was a lot of issues. And he's like, well, I got a nice big check for it. And he was real snooty to me about it. And I was like, dude, I was joking. I forget the exact comment I said, but it was clearly a joke, right?
Yeah, some people just can't think of fucking joke.
No, it gets better, We were at a 7.5-inch gauge railroad doing card order operations. And at one point, we had derailed on a switch, and when we derailed, we broke the guardrail. And so we pulled the locomotive off the track. We put the locomotive back on the track. I pull the guardrail out of the side of the truck, and I say, "Oh, we broke the guardrail." And he goes, "That's not the guardrail." Yeah, it is. It goes right here. See, that's not the guardrail. That's the. Forget exactly what he called it. He's like, "That's the frog." I'm like, no. This is the guardrail. That's the frog. And then the owner of the railroad who built that switch, who knew all about it, comes walking up, and I'm like, oh, no. Before that, I was like, no, this is the guardrail. I hand lace switches in model trains. So I have to know all this stuff. He's like, well, I work for a railroad, and that is the frog. And I'm like, no, it's the guardrail, but whatever. You want to believe it's a frog, whatever. And I stopped arguing with him. Then the owner of the railroad comes over, and I said, hey, Russ, do you have a screwdriver handy? This guardrail popped out. I just want to slide it back in. I want to loosen up these wood screws, slide it back in, tighten it back in, and we'll be all good. And immediately the other guy goes, you mean the frog? And Russ looks at me, looks at the track, looks at the other guy, and goes, that's the guardrail. And pulls out a screwdriver, and I immediately fixed everything. And it's like, yeah, I was like, yeah.
That's
Some
funny.
people, man.
And just every interaction I've had with him has been a negative interaction.
Shit, that sucks. So, did you enjoy the April Fool's Day prank that I
I saw that and I was like, yeah, this isn't going to be anything of. This is obviously just a fun joke.
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't for some people. The guy that makes it fell for it.
The guy who makes what fell for what?
The guy that makes Waycross, Jason, actually fell for it.
How so?
Because I found an angry react on the post. My friend goes, "Why are you so angry, Jason?" He goes, "Because I got played."
I mean, if you click on the files, they're all text files, and they say April Fool's like a bazillion times.
I know. I spent 2 hours working on making those skins work and compiling and testing them, and then another hour with my friend setting up the website so that shit would... Like, it's clearly a load of bullshit. Like, obviously Run 8's not gonna let me release a bunch of shitty-ass reskins like that.
Now I'm curious how the LCMX power got up here in Barstow.
What?
Yeah, there's 3 SD40s, 2 UP and 1 SU line up here.
Someone
That's
had
not
to,
even the
had an open
LCMX CMX power.
Yo, the LCMX power is supposed to be
power.
the those green SD40s, but those accidentally got deleted the other day.
Yeah.
And I told the guy who deleted them, just grab some power from Barstow and run it down here. This is power from West Colton.
Oh my.
Wait, so it overshot, I feel.
Probably. That's actually what happened with I was actually that reminds me of a time. This is like a few weeks ago. Whenever I actually was, I had already sent one train out of Victorville, like a LKO 102, back to Barstow with the pickups, like all the processed cars, but it was so heavy that like there's so many cars processed there. And since it loads a lot of cars, I'm like, it was like low horsepower per ton, so I'm like, oh, I have to leave like half these cars here in Victorville. So then I'd send like so I sent a power move down to Victorville, and what I did is I unfleeted the signal at East Victorville so that the power would stay right there, but somebody fleeted it again, and then next thing I know, I see a train coming up. Like the next day, I see a train coming up SPD sub that's D Porphyry Victorville. So somebody caught it at Porphyry and turned it back around.
This is why we have that train notes tab. If you're gonna do that stuff, you're supposed to at least the idea behind having that train notes text chat on Discord is if you have something like that and you want to make sure that everyone's kind of on the same page, you put it there. But that also implies that everyone, when they check, is looking in the train notes and looking at individual yard notes pages.
Yeah,
communication.
I'm not about doing that stuff.
when we have a server running at this capacity in this kind of sense, communication is important.
Yeah, we've had shit like that happen. So I should have mentioned this to you, Kaz, but Solar is now on my server.
I'm sorry.
Oh gosh.
Well, he's been actually doing pretty good. The problem was he's actually deleted a few things that he shouldn't. Again, easy fix. I'm neurotic about my staff trains, like to the point where like if I can't find them, I'm like, well, this is a red alarm. So like I have them backed up on the host, so I can just respawn them. So like we lost one of my staff train. Basically, somehow my reefer train that was AI crashed into the back of his grain train on needles, and we wound up with a phantom duck the other day. We have no idea how.
Excessive speed was used.
He's been pretty good, actually. It's just that, like, Like we had the communication shit is like that's literally you're like preaching to the choir here with me because like I had the same shit.
Well, I was talking to Anya the other day while I was playing, and he mentioned there's one server that he visits where like during the week they only build up trains in the yard. They don't AI anything. They don't do anything on the main line. They just build the trains on the yard, or yards plural. And then like once a week they get together and they have a big ops session where that's when they run all their locals and everything. And that's again where like they have that level of communication of we're going to do this, this, and this. And if you go back in the history and you see when people used to do the calling out the cache sessions, the calling high seniority hoggers or whatever. That was a session where everyone got together at the same time and was running all at the same time, where communication was like that, constant. But then you have things like, look at how dams used to be, look at how highball is, look at how any server that runs 24/7 without the consistent communication, you get a lot more little issues and stuff. Things pop up and things. And we experienced that here. And that's why it's like I have those individual note channels where if you wanted to work a yard and you wanted something specific done in that yard, you could type it in there. And hopefully other people, when they go into that yard, are going to look at it. So that way, your power doesn't get moved without you knowing. And it's like I can look and see, oh, well, people were having a conversation in Barstow yard notes. Obviously, people were working in Barstow.
Yeah, that's what we did in... we do over on OBS, and granted it's Selkirk, so it's kind of nice because you don't have as many people with the route. So the people that you have, are like the people that want to run. So like I've probably gotten some people to mute the whole fucking server before, because every single time before I'd log off, I'd look at every local and there'd be a whole at everyone message going, "Hey dumbasses, here's what happened to the rest of the locals. Here's what's gonna happen. Don't fuck with X, Y, and Z. Fuck with W, Z, and F, and get shit done tomorrow. Good night."
And they just add everyone doing that.
Well, it was either I stopped doing at everyone because they'd be like, "Are you sure you want to do 40 people?" And I'd be like, "Yes, I'm fucking sure I want to message 40." I just do at here.
Well, see,
at yard crew.
I put the notes in there, and then I kind of leave it up to everybody else to just self-regulate themselves, and I trust that everyone here is smart enough to at least take a look at those notes, since it's talked about in several different places of, hey, take a look at the notes. I know I'm being naive when I say I hope everyone's smart enough, but No.
But for you, it works out a lot better than, say, Highball or the Depot.
I'm not even running anything. I'm just talking. What the hell? I'm gonna find something else to run.
I mean, on the NLR, I don't even think I have a train notes tab. It's just like, did anyone see what was in the general tab? Did anyone read what I put, the long run-on sentence I had in the lead locomotive's tag? Well, oh well.
And where are those cars going? Why are cars for BK and Cal going down?
Turn around 3 at L.
Something's not right in the hump. We gotta. Alright, something's not right in the hump because a bunch of cars are going down the slough track even though they shouldn't be.
That's weird. I mean, those are cars that are already in the hump config?
Yeah, they're already in the hump config and they're all going down the slough track now.
Who's doing the hump? Yardmaster?
Yeah, the hump yard's turned off and he's still shoving.
Oh. I was just saying maybe he has a wrong config.
Do I need to call DS for this, or is the thing?
Well, we didn't have enough people show up tonight, but that was like I said earlier, it was really short notice.
Yeah.
I just turned the hump controller back on, so it should be all right. I'm gonna try and do this.
Yeah, because.
Well, here's the thing, right? We mentioned it, and I was like, all right, let's do it. I said it at noon. I'm like, let's do it. because I was either do this or play another game, and I was like, you know what, I'm really not feeling that other game. I really like it, but I don't like the community that surrounds it. So I'm going to play this instead. And then, because it was short notice, not everybody got the memo. But if we start doing this more often, like every Friday, then yeah.
Yeah, now people love the memo.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, to everybody else, one of the things that Steel Beasts does for when they're picking like their team leaders, like who's going to be red team leader, who's going to be blue team leader, they actually, the guy running the session has D&D dice that he rolls. So I said, you know what, instead of always picking somebody or having somebody sign up to be the dispatcher, what we'll do is we'll just, how many ever people, like if we got 8 people, I'll grab a D8 and I'll roll that. And whatever, number, like if it's number 5, and let's say Josh is number 5 on the list, hey Josh, you want to be dispatch? If he says no, all right, I'll re-roll it.
You've rolled a 1. Your hump yard is now on fire.
Oh crap. It wouldn't be the first time.
Man, if there was a D&D version of Run 8, holy, can you imagine how shit that would go after a while?
Don't tempt me, I will do it.
And I will
I've been looking for more
wholeheartedly
tabletop
support.
gaming.
I'm not at a tabletop game, but holy shit, if there's tabletop Run, sign me the fuck up.
We'll have to get some minis. Oh, I have some in my
Yeah.
closet. Oh, but I don't have any Gevos.
Just steal an N scale one.
Where am I going to steal it? There's no hobby shops in this town that sell N-scale Gevos.
I still can't believe that it's like you live in Las Vegas and there's like barely any good model trains. There's not a good model
It's 'cause
train
there's too much
anymore.
fucking TNA in Las Vegas.
No,
no,
okay, here's the
there's
thing.
no-
I talked to some people who have lived here a long time, and we've kind of like we've talked about the issue. What it is a lot of people only live here for 3 or 4 years at a time, not long enough to really commit to building a layout.
Makes sense.
I mean, I've lived here for 5 years, and I've moved 4 times. No, 5
You're not
times.
the target demographic. For
I've
man.
moved.
This
I've moved at least every year that I've lived here.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
In Vegas in June, there was 3 hobby shops that I hit that had trains.
Yeah, there's 3 hobby. Okay, I work near 2 of them. One of them I don't like going to because the owner there gives me a dirty look the entire time I'm there. Like I showed up one time and I was riding the city bus because I didn't have a car at the time, and I knew I was going to be buying a lot of big stuff, so I had my backpack, but my backpack was empty. And I even took my backpack and I set it down by the door, and I said, I'm just going to hang this on the coat rack by the door. And he was sitting behind the counter just playing, talking to one of the other customers when I walked in, and I said, hey, I'm just going to leave this here. I'm going to go look at the back at some stuff. Walked to the back, started looking at some stuff. And then he gets up, and he's still talking to the guy, but he's following me around the store while I'm, like, thumbing through all the stuff that I wanted to buy.
That's not cool.
Oh, who train? Well, I'm actually not running a train right now. I'm just
arcade
keeping an eye on Yardmaster here. He had some issues with the hump controller turning off on him. So I'm just kind of looking to see why.
You live on the West Coast long enough, everyone starts looking shit.
And there's another hobby shop which is owned by another guy. Yardmaster, it looks like the hump is screwed up. You might want to stop humping cars. And while I fix this. Wait, next is there's CSX cars, but we're gonna have a few CSX locomotives floating around out here, so we got those right there. There's another hobby shop which is it's a similar thing where it's just like one guy owns the shop, but it's in a really bad neighborhood, and pretty much it's just a couple of tables and everything is piled on the table.
That sucks.
And then the other one that I work like a couple blocks away from is Hobbytown USA. And you can imagine what that's like. It's Hobbytown USA.
Oh fuck, I just realized there's something relevant to your server that just happened. It's not good though. Apparently Hobart Tower burnt down.
Wait, what? Really?
For today, that's what a friend just told me, like a half an hour.
Time to go to the Google.
He said he couldn't find photos yet, but yeah, I guess it burnt down today.
Okay, so CAL and KPS cars and BK cars are going down the slough track, even though they shouldn't be going down the slough track. They are configured in the hump.
Did you try the master reset button?
Well, I'm not the one humping, it's Yardmaster is, so he's got to pull back off the hump and hit the master reset, while I grab the trim power and pull the slough track, which is now full.
Okay.
That would suck if Hobart Tower actually burned down in real life.
No, that's what happened in real life. It burned down.
Well, yeah, but do they still use that for dispatch operations, or just there?
As far as I know, it's been dead for years. Is what my friend.
That's what happens to most interlocking towers most nowadays.
They either get boarded up or they burn down.
Yeah, he said it's been replaced a long time. I mean, we have one in East Deerfield. Thing hasn't been used in 40 frickin' years.
I think the interlocking tower at Holly hasn't been used in like 40, 50 years. It hasn't been used in so long. They haven't even like cut the trees down around it. It's just disappearing in the trees.
I will say this: I've been to Mission Tower when I was in LA, because I've been like on the parking lot right across from the curve. It's not boarded up. It's just, but they haven't boarded up. It doesn't look like it's gone to shit or anything. It's just been sitting there. No surprise. I'll try and find a photo of that.
All I gotta do now is I gotta pull some cars out of the bowl tracks while Yardmaster up there is working the trim, or actually working the hump. So, teamwork. I'm just gonna grab these cars out of the slough track and send them back down into receiving from the bowl. Alright, now I gotta just fly down here. I gotta make sure that I don't have any switches lined up the wrong way. That one's good. I gotta reset this one or we're gonna have a bad time. Yeah, we should be good. Not too many cars in this cut, so it should be, well, I mean, it's a full freaking cut, so it's gonna have some meat to it, but while it's going that way, I can start lining these switches up. What time is it? It's 9:10. So we got about another 45 minutes before I call it a night. Of course, I do pay attention to both Twitch and YouTube chats. If you got questions, anything you want to see in Run 8, half of this stream is about that. Showing off Run 8. Now horn? Do you mean new horn? Cut powers, let this thing coast. Normally this track that we're pulling from shouldn't be filling up. It's the slough track. When the hump controller doesn't know where this cart, when there's a card tag that the hump controller doesn't know where it needs to go, it goes down this track. All these cars have assigned tracks in the hump in the hump controller, so I don't know why.
So, I did see some news from John Greenstone the other day on trainfilm.com. One of which would be useful for you.
We already had that conversation about it, him saying that he never once said he was going to do the route builder.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the spawn point editor thing is nice, but the route editor thing is bullshit because he did fucking work.
Ah, crap.
Autosave. Load that autosave train.
Yep.
The spawn point editor would be nice. Because then I would just delete all the ones that, all the ones on needles that we don't use.
Like, how many servers have actually used the spawn points on sidings thing that are like sidings in the middle?
I mean, there's probably a few that do.
Maybe, yeah. But, like, there's clearly some that we fucking need, like, I've already said too much, but I know why there isn't one.
Why there isn't one where?
On Lone Pine sub at Mohawk.
Oh, because it looks like they might be adding that or whatever.
Again, I've already said too much, but
How many more cars do I got?
when I was figuring out the what the fuck was going on with the missing route thing my friend said in the Bakersfield World Save, I stumbled upon something else. I mean, I suppose I'll just tell it to you because
Hold on,
people
stand by.
weren't Pat.
Yardmaster, go ahead and go up to the hump controller, press Control F6, and hit the master reset for the hump. And make sure the hump controller's turned on and you can start shoving cars over it again.
Well, I lost like 3 pickup cars there, but that's only like 3 pickup cars.
How did you accidentally
That's
delete
not
your
too big
train?
a deal. What had happened there was somebody at this industry that I was going to grab the cars at. The cars were like pushed as far down on the track as they possibly could be, like up against the thing that like stops them from going off the track. So I coupled to them at like 5 like miles per hour, and it just like pushed them off the end of the track and corrupted the train. So that's nice.
Delta, what were you saying?
Well, Pat's already kind of given away part of the secret, but he only gave away half of it. Because Greenstone has kind of made a joking thing about it, I think. Again, I'm banned from Highball from them accusing me of being a pirate. Well, of their Facebook group. I'm not banned from this. That was a lot of fun. I'm like, why am I banned? And they're like, well, we got an anonymous tip, you're pirating. I'm like, but you guys have known me for 3 years. Why would I pirate? Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, but the Arvin branch is part of something that's coming. Again, I hope like hell it's part of the free update. It's only a few months.
So we may be getting a new route, or at least a branch line, in a free future update.
Yeah, and then the other part of that route, apparently this route is 2 branch lines, according to the file name. The other one is one you would never think to look for. You know the Wyatt Mojave?
The Wyatt Mojave that actually goes into like a bunch of city industrial trackage.
Yeah, the Oak Creek branch.
Yeah.
That's the other part of it. Arvin, if I remember correctly, I did some. What Pat told me we were talking about the other day. It's SJVR territory, so that'll be interesting.
Oh, possibly a reason for us to actually use SGVR in the server.
I mean, at least something for switching. I mean, I don't hate the Bakersfield sub, but
It's not amazing.
it's not. And here's the other thing. Apparently, John was like, "Oh, well, some of the new third-party devs we hired on last year were." Then why does it feel like it's not as great as it should?
We hired on third-party devs, but we'll never release the route building tools.
I know. It's like, what the... Apparently, I don't think I mentioned this to you. Maybe I mentioned in the chat. Did I tell you that Proviso... I made him post asking for old DS board shots of Proviso that were missing from the... And one of the guys behind Proviso spoke up saying he still has the route and the editor. Granted, the V1.
So,
Be awesome.
The problem is, he said he's been trying to message John Greenstone for the past 2 or 3 years, and he's never got a response.
always click pull. If you clicked push, I'm going to be upset.
Probably sub full. I really wish push just didn't automatically push it, like the host would have to consent. Like, why was that not
That would actually be a good feature.
It should.
There's also a button that says you have to turn the hump controller off and hit reset hump yard, which is right next to the hump controller switch. And then turn the hump controller back on and go ahead and continue shoving cars over.
Basically, what John wrote back is, "Oh, we're kind of busy with stuff. Message me in the future. I sometimes just don't see." I'm sorry. How do you miss emails over 3 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's like
Listen, I've missed a few things there.
Stand by.
Here,
Break. Guard Master, you're going to have to re-pull the hump config. I had to, in a minute. There are actually a couple tags missing. I'm editing it right now. So hold on a second. Go on, you were saying.
Yeah, he was basically like, I've missed a few things here and there in my life on emails, but 3, really?
Yeah, 3 years is ridiculous. It's like if you miss 1 or 2 emails, it's like, yeah, it happens. But like, yeah, 3 years. That's kind of ridiculous. Oh goody! All the pickups that I have to do from now on for this local, have the cars pushed to the very end of the track.
All right, Yardmaster, you can go ahead and pull the config now. I think I got it working. Looks like at some point I forgot to add Bakersfield, like BK cars, or forgot to add the tag for UP Bakersfield Yard.
Oh yeah, that's kind of an important one. Only like one of the most busy yards on the UP side.
UP Bakersfield?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, well, I mean, of like local yards besides West Colton, it's one of the most busy. For like Mojave and Bakersfield on the UP side are like the most busy, car-wise, that come in. From what I've seen in West Colton, at least. It's like UP Bakersfield, since it has like, and it has like 5 locals running out of it.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't really help that UP is like completely neglected in the game.
Yeah. And we have the spawn rates turned down for LA stuff since barely anybody runs LA yards. Because basically the only people who actually work LA yards on a fairly consistent basis are me and Big Red.
I think Lemire. I think Malbar.
And actually,
Malbar only has one train that spawns with cars for it out of on the BNSF side, and then Lamirda, it only gets cars from UP industry or from not UP, but for industries elsewhere on the railroad.
Yeah, which that's helping out a lot with La Mirada because we're finally starting to get caught up little by little with it. Because, I mean, yeah, we're finally starting to get caught up with La Mirada. Finally.
It's just.
Yeah, I mean,
the problem is
City of Industry. Actually, City of Industry, you guys work a lot.
The problem is like some of those yards only can handle a few cars, and if you turn on like one AI spawn to have them, you get 500 cars for it. So I was like, well, La Mirada, I'm going to try something. No AI train spawns with those cars. Those cars only come from industries on Bakersfield sub, parts of Cajon, and Seligman sub. Like those are the only industries, and I think some out of Mojave. Those are the only industries that will produce cars for La Mirada. And that's why, you pick up, you might spot a car at that industry, then go through the hump, and find itself, in La Mirada, and then eventually work its way off the route. Which is kind of an interesting thing. So any cars you see on La Mirada have been on the railroad for quite a long time. Either they came in on an AI spawn and have just been sitting around for months on end, or they came in on another train and worked their way through the industries. Which
the ones in La Mirada now are probably ones that came on AI trains months ago and haven't been worked yet.
Yeah, I think because there was a while where there was no cars spawning at all for La Mirada, and then when Bakersfield sub came out, I changed it up so that way La Mirada gets cars from other industries in game, and now we have like a dozen cars for La Mirada sitting here in Barstow.
Yeah, which I mean that's helping out a lot, and I mean you really can't have much spawn for La Mirada because it's such a tiny yard.
I mean, if we consistently had like 20, 30 people on the server all the time working it, yeah, you could easily do it, but we don't. No server has that.
Yeah. No. And I mean that's the problem is that number one, La Mirada is so stinking tiny that you can barely fit anything in there. Like is really like you can only have like a train in there being like assembled into locals, or a train in there being get set up ready to go to Barstow. I mean, you really don't have room for both with how we have it set up. So I mean, like, so which really sucks, you know. But I mean that's just how it goes in La Mirada. Which I actually need to work Malabar. Malabar is like one of the
Yardmaster, you can pull the hump config and start humping now. I said that several minutes ago.
But I believe Malabar is like one of the only yards I've yet to work on the server. Yeah, I think it actually is like the only one I have yet to work. That's actually kind of crazy now that I think about it.
I've worked, well, except for the new yards on the Bakersfield stuff. I think I've worked at least a little bit every yard. And it might, you know, but when I sit there and say that, it might be I moved 6 cars, you know. I think I worked La Mirada, or maybe it was Malabar. I think it was La Mirada. Right after San Bernardino came out and we started getting stuff in there, I went down there and worked it a little bit with Big Red.
Man, I felt bad for Big Red whenever he was the only one ever doing anything in LA. And he was like, whenever I got it, he was like, finally somebody else who actually has LA that will actually do stuff in LA. Because I mean, there's other people who had it, but they just didn't do local ops there.
That's how it was for me. Is I didn't want to do a lot of yards, and then like I'd be asking people like, well, did any cars come in for Los Nietos? And they'd be like, oh, well, 4. And I'd be like, well, that's bullshit. Like my favorite local. It's my favorite local on LA, and like it gets shit for spawn rates on any local on any.
I need to run that one still. I haven't got to run that one.
It's fun because if you're doing it realistically in Run 8, you only would be running with 2G.
Right, and normally I don't get to run it because I know I've heard Big Red say that he loves that one too. So whenever it comes in and weeds, like he takes it immediately.
It's fun because it's fun because the switching moves are pretty easy, but then once you realize that you could potentially have close to 80 loaded covered hoppers at your disposal when you're shunned, that's the part that's the struggle.
It looks pretty fun whenever I've looked at it.
In real life, it's even more of a nightmare for them because there's an actual yard off to the side before you go over the crossover. That's there now that wasn't there. And they still only have 2 gens and some, like, you pour some.
And it's in LA, so it's freaking hot. Oh, dude, I'm bummed out right now.
I've been to LA, it's hot in LA, but it's dry. You will not be like sweating.
Sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's humid.
Sometimes, well, luckily enough, when I've been there, it hasn't been humid.
It depends on which way the wind is blowing. If the wind is blowing from the east, going west, you're gonna get hot, dry air coming down the mountains. If it's blowing from the west to the east, you're getting hot, humid air from the ocean. One of the places where I go for my LARP events, it's in Corona, so it's not too far away from LA, and we've had days where, you know, Friday it was hot and dry, and then it got nice Saturday night, and then, it got nice Friday night, and then Saturday morning the wind changed and it was hot and humid.
My problem with LA is that like I was psyched when it came out, but I knew within like 3 weeks it was gonna pose a problem. Because it's gonna be like we're so spread out now that there's not gonna be enough people on any server to be able to keep these locals running.
Yeah, that was actually an old problem we used to have in one of the trains multiplayer groups. Is they did UMR, which was a massive railroad.
Oh, fuck.
But you only ever had like 2 or 3 people online, so you never saw those other people you were playing with. I was on there. I did one day. I was playing for about 8 hours on that server. I saw other people join the server. I talked to other people in chat. Never actually went and saw their trains moving. And that easily had more track than this.
That's how it was with open rails for me. Is a lot of my friends when we do it, it's like, oh well, we've spawned all the other ends of opposite routes. Like you go to Mariah's Pass and we're nowhere near each other. Like yeah, I'm sure we'll all see each other in 3.5 fucking hours.
At least Run 8, you have that ability to teleport to other areas. So it's like, oh, I'm sitting here working Barstow, but you want to work in LA? Well, you know what? I'm all done in Barstow. I can teleport to you and work with you down there.
Yeah, that's the really nice thing, and you can even like teleport to people through the network status board, which is great too, because then you can just be like, because if I just want to like check what somebody's doing, if I'm just like, oh, what are they doing over there? I can just be like, transport to player, look at them for a second, and I can just do like left control F12, and I can just go back to my train.
Which, that's kind of like the double-edged sword of having these routes expand. Like, it would be really cool if we had one-to-one every route between LA and, say, Chicago. It'd be really cool to be able to simulate moving freight that far and doing all of that stuff. But at the same time, if you have a small server group where you only have 20 people, throughout the week who are playing, you're not ever going to see half of those people, because I might sit here and just keep working Barstow, all day, while someone says, well, I really like Chicago, so I'm just going to sit in Chicago and work Chicago all day. And me and that other player would still interact through chat and through the fact that, every couple of days he would get a train from me, and every couple of days I would get a train from him. But we would never actually have like that player-on-player interaction unless we teleported halfway across the country to each other. And I am of the wishful mindset that it would be really cool if we could do that, but we would also have to fix a lot of other issues with the community, because we all have to at least agree on one server that we all just accumulate on.
And that's not going to happen with the way
Exactly, because with a route that big, you're gonna have like a gigantic server to get things actually moving.
You wouldn't have to have a gigantic server. You just have a big community, a big dedicated community.
It's split right now, and that's the problem. Is like, listen, I don't care what server anyone wants to run. They want to run on it, fine. But when you got people that want to gatekeep in a certain fucking server and not have people know about it, what the fuck? It's 2019, get the fuck over. Like, people think that, oh, because if they go to another server, we might not be as... Sure, Alex Jones, sure. Whatever sinks your battle.
We need to build a wall around our server to keep the people in. That's what's on all these freight cars, is just materials to build the wall around the server.
Well, there's all the fucking cement hop.
Exactly.
We're gonna build a wall out of sand.
It's the only reason reason the Smex plant in Victorville exists.
We're gonna build a wall and C-Mex is gonna pay for it.
Yep. Forget about Monolith. Only C-Mex.
But then everyone's gonna get wind cancer and more.
I broke the game.
By the way, has anyone else noticed that the things are animated in Mojave now?
I broke the game, guys.
What things?
I broke the windmills. They're now animated, but I broke the game.
Oh, okay.
I was like stupidly happy when I found that out. I was like, this is actually like, I was like watching them for like 5 minutes straight. Like, I'm more happy about this.
So I went to go teleport to somebody, and it teleported me like a mile underground.
Yeah, it does
That's
that sometimes.
nice.
And then I'm like, what is this bright light? Oh, that's the sun that I can see on the other side of the earth.
There used to be a giant plateau of land under the land in Mojave, or in Barstow, that was like 20 miles below.
That's not there anymore, is it?
It was when V2 first came out, somewhere in like the first 2 updates, and I think it's gone since. I'll have to find screenshots of it. There was also a bunch of fucking crevasses.
I mean, I'm going straight down in Barstow right now, and all I'm seeing is orange light.
Yeah, it's been removed.
But I did find the Daystar.
Did you?
Yeah. I just wonder, like, if I hit Control S or Control W long enough, could I reach the sun?
That would be interesting, actually.
Well, technically the sun, I think, is technically an object in the game. Also, crazy fact, the sun and the headlights in Run Air are the same texture.
Whoa. Mind blown, dude.
Well, it's weird because my friend went to adjust the headlights to make them look better, and then he went, "Why does my sun look so fucking weird?" He's like, "The
Oh my
headlights look really
gosh.
good, but the sun looks a lot fucking brighter now."
That's hilarious.
Or he tried testing it once by testing if it would work by replacing the headlights with like Donald Trump's face, and then he went, "What the fuck happened to my son?"
I just wonder if the headlights and the sun are the same texture. Are the stars the same texture as well?
No, stars are their own little white dot.
Oh.
Does that mean if I turn up, like, in my graphic settings, if I turn up headlight intensity, is the sun gonna get brighter?
You know, I don't.
That would be interesting to find out.
I broke the game again.
What did you do?
I looked straight at the moon, and I hit Shift or Control W for a long time, and
Oh,
I
no.
can't get back down to the ground.
Oh gosh.
Wait, what happens if you just hit F12?
I hit F12.
Can you teleport to,
Hold
like,
on, let me fly over.
can you go in the
Teleport to me.
dispatch
People
screen?
teleport to me. Either I'm
Holy
still
fucking
flying
hell,
and I don't know it.
No, he's right. Cause I just tried to V2 just tried to teleport me on the ground, and this is what I fucking.
It's just, I think I might have actually gone outside of like the ground texture area, and that's what the issue here is. I've gone beyond the distant terrain.
Here you go, guys. This is what it looks like when I'm looking straight.
Nice.
Oh my god! I found the black hole from NASA.
Oh
What?
my gosh, it's the black hole.
Well, if you go far enough past the distant terrain, it just stops, and that's what you get is just nothing. Yeah, that's the Daystar.
Yeah. The moon, man. You I don't know what the fuck happened.
My F12 isn't working. It's not letting me get back onto the ground.
This is
Can
bad.
you do an F3 and teleport like with space?
Well, no, I went to Barstow and I just started flying in one direction, and I'm like, oh, there's some interesting ground here. Can I see if that's water down there or what? And it won't let me walk.
You know what might have happened? What if you went so far into the ground you're now in the sky?
Whoa.
Whoa,
Like
dude.
in old video games where you went too high in the sky and you would show up on the bottom of the screen and it would just kill you.
This is like deep theology right here, guys.
We are entering the Matrix.
Dude,
Yes.
like,
Alright guys, it's time to put down the peace pipe.
but man, like, this is some good shit. You want to hit this? Dude, I got some
We need a
Velveeta,
picture-
man.
We need a picture of Kazik right now doing the aliens pose
Aliens.
with the sun back with the Daystar in the background.
I mean, I
Oh my
am
gosh.
live streaming, and if anyone was paying, oh no, I did it wrong. I went to the wrong angle. Aliens. I don't know the pose well enough to do it. Yeah, I guess if you go far enough off the edge of the map, it doesn't let you walk anymore.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
He's transcending dimensions.
You've also now broken physics too.
So, I'm looking on Reddit, and there's a guy who's building, and this is the greatest thing ever. They need to make one of these for every train simulator. I don't know why no company on the face of the planet doesn't make one of these. He is making a controller for Train Sim World, so he doesn't have to use his keyboard.
Is that on
Oh
r
my
slash trains?
gosh.
Yes.
I know which one you mean. It's awesome.
I mean, it looks cool, but I mean, if only somebody, made a thing, they could call it like a train driver.
Yeah, that would be like a really good idea for a company, you know?
The
We
rail
should
driver
start one.
Like, they could like call themselves like Precision Intelligent Engineering, or PI Engineering for short. I think I know some
yeah.
guys in mid-Michigan who might be able to do this.
The Universal Rail. Also, there's basically Run 8 single player Steam Engine edition. I almost picked it. You can even use an old Steam crane.
Ooh, Steam Crane, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the comments though.
Yeah.
He posted this like a 3D rendering of it, and I said, if only a company would make a device that could mimic train controls and plug in via USB, maybe call it a train driver or rail controller, and then if Railworks had support for such a device. And then later on, someone's like, if only that company that made this so-called driver would also work with the makers of the game and make a controller that would work for that game. You missed the part where this is for Train Sim World. I said, no, I didn't miss that point. Or I didn't miss the point about it being for Railworks World. But hey, at least we can run, or at least we can use an Xbox controller. Someone respond, no, I refuse to use my Xbox controller. I then respond, but that's what real railroads use.
Someone
Oh
made
my gosh.
someone actually made using Pinnacle's controller rebinder thing, made a Xbox controller preset for Run 8.
It wouldn't be that hard to do. You just reprogram all the...
No, but this is a commercial company that made a controller remapper like XPad or Col- and for some reason it comes with a profile for Run 8 by... I was like, how have these guys hurt? Yeah, it's weird.
I was just saying because I'm like, oh, I have.
By the way, their profile is fucking shit.
Oh,
I'm like, it's not hard to reprogram.
the default profile for Railworks for using an Xbox controller is ass backwards. Because it's like your throttle and your brake are like on the same like trigger and bumper instead of like a racing game where one is gas and one is brake. It's like, no, one trigger's throttle up, the other trigger's throttle down, one button's brake up, the other button's brake down. It's like, why not have left trigger be brakes and right trigger be throttle?
Guys, you've just given me a terrible fucking idea.
You're going to do it, aren't you?
No, something worse. Because I have XPad.
You're going to do it, but you're going to use one of those dongles and you're going to set it up with an SNES controller.
No. 3D Railroad Master with the 360.
I mean...
Sadly, it'll work too well, is the problem.
Here's the other problem.
I told my friend...
How many gods are you going to kill?
Oh, you have no idea how much terrible shit I'm gonna do with an Xbox controller on 3D. But... I mean, I could do it for TM Trainmaster 4.3, but that's not that... That thing is a weird-ass button layout, by the way. I once told a friend that he should work on a plugin so he could do a racing game, but that he should use his rail driver.
I mean, there used to be...
And his immediate response was, I no longer wish to speak to you.
There used to be a plugin, and I had it work for a very short time for JMRI. You could actually drive model trains with the rail driver, but then there was an update to JMRI.
There used to be a video.
Yeah, no, here's what we did, right? We had it work for like 2 weeks. And what I would do is I would take my laptop, plug it in, get it all set up, have the rail driver in front of a big screen TV, right? That big screen TV had a wireless camera that was mounted inside the cab of a locomotive on the layout. You were then given a walkie-talkie and sat down in front of this big screen TV and told, drive your train. If you were driving that particular locomotive, you could only drive from the rail driver. And you had to have...
Where on screen it would give you like the -9 cab view from it.
No. This was just like a cheap camera that we had found laying around in the back of the shop, and we had wedged it in an MTH cab forward. And like rewired it because there was no room for the 9-volt battery inside the cab. We wired it so that way the 9-volt battery was in the smoke box. Last I saw, that camera is still in there, even though the camera died a long time ago.
I am so close to finishing this local. Finally. How's it going for everyone else? What's everyone else doing?
I'm just talking shit and looking at whatever's going on the railroad for the last like 10 minutes before I call it a night, at least for me, and then I'm gonna take a shower and then shut down at 11 like always, because tomorrow is the day I have to wake up at 6 in the morning for work.
Yeah, I probably need to go to bed here soon. I'm getting really tired. I'm just gonna finish this up. Shouldn't take too long.
I had to
There was
wake.
this crazy thing that was like the JMRA thing you're talking about that had like a camera mounted in, but it was for HO. But the weird thing about this software was it gave you, inside the camera, it created an overlay of the Dash 9 cab from MSTS for some fucking
I've
reason.
seen that,
and
but
you
I seen
got,
a
like,
different
beat-
one. It was an F7 cab.
What? I'm trying to find this video now, and I can't find it because there's this weird.
No, I've seen a couple of them, and it's always like it's always like clearly like from a train sim cab.
That actually reminds me, someone finally figured out why the Dash 9 reverser back in the day sounded so fucked.
Why is that?
It's because it was recorded from an SD40-2. That whining noise you hear, you only hear if you took a reverser and went from forward all the way into reverse. It's the sound of the reversing gears changing fate. But for some reason, they put it in the Dash 9 in MST. I've been slowly trying to add the old MSTS sounds back to running. I added in a terrible one.
Oh, where does this go?
Remember the really passive aggressive from MSTS? Actually, let me just put the video in the chat for you guys
It's been
to
so
see.
long since I played MSTS that it's like I don't even remember any of the sounds it made. But I'm actually gonna. We got nothing else really going on the stream right now. We moved some trains. We did some
Here, let me
stuff.
put it in there for you. Also, that's a chat, a test. I've made it so we can have custom radio chatter if you guys ever wanted better radio chatter than the shit we already had. I don't think I can make it region specific.
Did I not set credits up for this? I didn't. Oh well, yeah. We'll be back Sunday for a short Elite Dangerous stream. And when I say short, like 2 hours, maybe an hour. Because Sunday night Game of Thrones comes back on, and I want to watch Game of Thrones. And then, yeah, we'll have a Monday night stream as well. I've posted in different locations, and I'll post it here on both Twitch and YouTube chat again, because I can, and why not? No, that's the wrong thing. That's the wrong thing. The link, well, no, some of you guys are already on here. The link, well, no, I can't find it. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Anyways. Yeah, we're gonna call it a night. We'll be back playing Elite Dangerous tomorrow night at 7 p.m. No, not tomorrow night. There's no stream tomorrow night because tomorrow night's the date night with my girlfriend. It tells you how tired I am. I got work at 6 in the morning, and I had to wake up stupid early this morning for work. So next Friday we're gonna try and do another big organized session. We're kind of getting that ball rolling. So. Tomorrow morning, when I wake up, will be.
Dude, G Funkin is still the best BSF train symbol I've ever seen.
I will.
G Funkin.
Fun.
Tomorrow morning, when I wake up and get ready, we'll be putting up a railfan cam somewhere in the Run 8 server. Maybe Barstow, maybe West Colton, maybe Needles. Probably not Needles. But somewhere, interesting. Where there'll be a lot of traffic rolling by constantly, so we have that to look forward to tomorrow. But of course, while I'm at work, I really won't be able to interact with chat at all, and that will only be on YouTube. Then Sunday, a short Elite Dangerous stream. And then Monday, we'll figure out something to do Monday night. I'll probably post it on Twitter at KazakF tomorrow or something like that. But yeah. Yeah. So if you don't like Elite Dangerous and other space games, I will catch you guys again next Friday when we do this again, and hopefully we'll have enough people available that we'll actually be able to do a big op session and have dispatching and proper radio communications and stuff like that. But yeah, I will catch you guys all later. Kaz out.